everybody, we're going to do a body weight Pilates mat class today, and I'm going to have you guys starting in an all fours position, so hands and knees. So you can bring the hands right underneath your shoulders, knees right underneath your hips. Find a nice flat back, so neutral spine. Make sure that your abs and ribs are still lifted up into your back body and you're not arching, you're not letting the belly drop down. So find that support for your back. And then from there, we're just gonna get right into it. We're taking the right leg straight back behind you. Make sure it's lifted hip height, point the toes, tighten up all the muscles in that leg. You're gonna lower the leg towards the mat, just tap the toes and lift the leg up to hip height. So squeezing through the glute and the hamstring. Feeling all the muscles in the back of that leg working. Big inhales, big exhales. Just try to keep as much length as you can. Keep those muscles fired up as much as you can. And then we'll hold that lift, little circles through the hip. So tracing small circles on the wall behind you. Try to keep the hips as level and as stable here as you can. Go ahead and switch direction. All right, now we're gonna bring that knee back down. Before we do the other side, you can tuck your toes under, lift the knees an inch or two off the mat. You're gonna step that leg back, take it out to the right, half a foot or so, bring it back to center, and bring it back in. So right leg steps back, steps out, in, and all the way in. So slow, controlled movement. You are hovered here the whole time. That left knee is hovered off the mat a few inches, but we're trying to stay low. Okay, one more like this. And bring it back down. You can take a cat-cow here, so stick the tailbone up towards the ceiling, let the belly drop down, lift the head, lift the chest. As you exhale, you're rounding your spine. So tailbone tucks under, let the head hang heavy, soft neck. Pick that mid back up towards the ceiling. Inhale, release. And exhale to round. And then just find that neutral spine again, so flat back. Make sure you're looking down towards the mat and not up to the wall in front of you or towards the ceiling. And make sure you're also not looking down towards your knees. So you want the back of the neck to be super long. Take that left leg straight back. Point the toes. Again, make sure those hips are squared off towards the ground. Pelvis and hips are level and stable. We're going to tap the toes to the ground. Lift that leg up hip height. Squeezing through that left glute. So right where the hamstring and the glute come together is where you're working from to find that lift. Good, 3 more like this. And we'll hold that lift, little circles through the hip. Go ahead and switch direction. So you're tracing small circles on the wall behind you. All right, go ahead and bring that knee back down. Again, we'll tuck the toes under. Readjust if you need to. You're gonna lift the knees just an inch or two off the mat. Hold that lift, nice strong arms. Step the left leg back, out to the side, in and underneath the body again. Back, out to the left, in, underneath the body. So nice strong core, and you have a lot of work going on in those arms as well. So shoulders sliding down the back. Try to keep that back hip above the knee, so we're not shifting the weight too far forward. There should be weight into that right leg as well. One more. Good. From here, you can lift the hips up and back. You can adjust as you need to find your downward dog. So hips lift back, heels drop towards the ground. Drop the head down in between the arms. Take a breath. Good, inhale. Exhale. And then you can pedal the feet out here. So just bending and straightening each leg one at a time. One heel drops towards the ground, opposite heel lifts. And then we'll go with both heels lower, both heels lift. Let the head hang heavy. One more. Good, we're gonna keep the heels lifted, bend the knees, lengthen the legs. So deep bend into the knees, legs lengthen. Deep bend, legs lengthen. One more. All right, guys. Shift the weight forward into a plank. You can readjust your feet if you need to. We're just holding in a strong plank here. So long line from the crown of the head all the way back to those heels. Just gonna hold it. Nothing's really moving. We want all those fingertips imprinted, pressing down into the mat. Nice strong arms. Last 3. And then gently bring the knees down. You can sit back into your child's pose. So sit the hips all the way back to the heels. You can walk the hands out a little bit further, let your head come down, take a breath. And then we'll walk the hands back to your knees. You'll come up into a tall kneeling position from here. So lifting the hips up off the heels, we're gonna reach the arms straight out to the wall in front of us. You're hinging from your knees, so make sure that there's that long straight line from the head to the knees the whole time. We'll hinge back, inhale, and then exhale brings you forward, squeezing through the glutes and using those abs. One more like that. Good, and then we're gonna hinge back and hold it. Reach the arms up to the ceiling. Bring the arms back down. Holding it still, arms up, arms back down. Okay, come forward. Let those arms come down. You can shake that out a little bit, kind of rotate side to side. You're gonna come into a side plank facing me. Just start, so whichever that arm is for you. I'm gonna bring my elbow down underneath my shoulder. Feet are gonna be staggered, which means that the top foot is forward, the bottom foot is back. The feet are flexed, so they really have, you have an anchor there, something to help support you. So strong, energized legs, lift the hips up off the mat. Top hand can be on the top hip or reaching up to the ceiling. Big deep breaths, and you can look forward or you can look up to that top hand, whatever works for you. But just keeping the neck long, tightening up all the muscles in those legs. If you need a modification for this one, you can have your bottom leg bent onto the mat with you. So that would look like this, where the bottom leg is bent, the shin and the calf are kind of on the ground supporting you, and your top leg is still straight. So that's a little bit easier if you need that option today. Last 4. And gently lower the hips. Good, and we'll spin around, doing the other side. Go ahead and just switch to that opposite arm. So same thing, both legs are long. Flex the feet, have the top foot forward in front of the bottom foot if you have both legs straight. And then we have the hips and the shoulder girdles stacked, so they're right on top of one another. Your bottom arm here, shoulders right above the elbow. Breathing, keeping the abs turned on. Really try to feel a good sense of expansion here, like you're taking up space. You're reaching through the top fingertips. You're reaching out through the heels. You're lifting yourself up away from the mat. Everything is super energized, even though we're just holding it. It's a stable position. And then gently lowering the hips. Okay, and you can flip over so that you're just seated on the mat. We're gonna go into some roll downs. So you'll straighten the legs all the way out in front of you. Have the feet and knees together, inner thighs zipped up, feet flexed. Toes are pulled back towards your shins. You're gonna reach the arms out to the wall in front of you. Sit as tall as you can here. So lift the ribs up away from the hips, big inhale. Tuck the tailbone under. As you exhale, start to roll the spine down, scooping the abs in. The mid back, then the upper back come down onto the mat. You can reach your arms back to the wall behind you if that feels okay, on your shoulders. And then draw the shoulders down the back and take an inhale. Nod the chin towards the chest. Let the arms come forward with you. You're curling the chest forward over the ribs as you exhale, scooping the abs in, reaching for the feet at the top. Let the back stretch out. And then same thing, rolling back down slow. And your body is low, like you're underneath a very low roof. You're staying rounded and staying low the whole time with these roll-ups. So even as we come up, chin towards the chest, so you're curling forward. We're not sitting tall, we're staying low as we reach for the feet. Let the back stretch out. Scoop the abs in. Same thing on the way back. Make sure the shoulders are down the back. Try to make sure you're allowing the breath to move with you. If it's too much to come up from laying flat on the ground like that, try just going halfway back and coming up from there. So I'll show you here if it's giving you some trouble today. You're just going to go halfway back to about here, or whatever point that is a challenge for you, but you know you can come back up from, and then come forward. So just progressing, just working into those movements, building your strength up until you feel comfortable to be able to come all the way down and all the way up. All right, guys, we're gonna stay seated at the top here. You can separate your feet the width of the mat. Flex the toes back towards the shins again, so the feet are flexed at the ankles. Arms are gonna open out to a nice big T. You're sitting up as tall as you can, and try to really reach the heels away from your upper thighs as well. So the backs of the legs are super long and energized. They're not just hanging out. So this is what my legs look like while I'm not doing anything. They're not working very hard. If I flex my feet and sit up as tall as I can and reach my heels away, that's already a lot of work. So try to make sure you're not just letting anything relax. Big inhale. Exhale, twist right. Little pulse to that side. Inhale, sit tall through center. Exhale, twist left. Inhale. So every time you exhale on your rotation, try to blow all the air out of your lungs. So you really need that fresh breath through center. We're gonna add a twist to that. So exhale, rotate right. You're gonna fold over, adding a fold over. You're reaching that left hand past the right foot, reaching that back palm up towards the ceiling. Reach the arms away from each other as far as they can go. And then inhale, unfold, untwist. Exhale, twist, unfold, scoop the abs in. The back palm faces up to the ceiling as you reach those arms away from each other in opposition. So you're stretching the back out and you're getting into that twist as deep as you can. You're kind of cleansing all the internal organs with that rotation and that breath. Last one, each side. Okay, bring those arms down. You can shake the arms out a little bit, maybe roll the shoulders up, back, and down. We're gonna bend the knees, feet and knees together, and we'll go ahead and roll down onto our backs. So if you need to readjust at all, do that. Hands behind the backs of the thighs, sit tall. Inhale, exhale, tuck the tailbone under. As you roll back, coming all the way down to the bottoms of the shoulder blades, and then legs lift up into tabletop. So just my chest is curled up over the rib cage, hands are back behind the thighs. I'm going into little crunches here, allowing my arms to help a little bit. So curling the chest up an inch or two, back an inch or two. So notice that my shoulders aren't up towards my ears like this. Okay, try to really draw the shoulders down the back. Make sure the belly button's pulling into the back body, flattening the tummy, and that low back is pressing into the mat. One more. And then chest and head relax down. You can let the knees come down a little bit. Turn the head side to side, let the neck stretch out. Okay guys, back to center. Give the knees a big hug into the chest. Inhale, nod the chin towards the chest. Exhale, curl up into that small ball again. Chest is curled up over the rib cage. You're holding that lift. The arms can help a little bit. You're going to take the right leg out to about a 45-degree angle, and both hands just come to the left knee. Pull that left knee into the chest. Inhale. Switch the legs, right knee in, left leg long to about 45, which would be here, or even lower if you can. And then exhale, exhale. So we're going to go inhale for both legs, exhale for both legs. Okay? Inhale, inhale, exhale. Exhale. So this should already be a lot of work on your core. You're pointing through the toes. You're tightening up all the muscles in those legs. Only take the legs as low as you're able to while keeping the low back pressed down into the mat. So if you ever need to lift the legs higher to get that low back pressed down or be pain-free, definitely do that. All right. Go ahead and pull both knees in. Let your head and chest come down. Take a breath. Turn the head side to side if you need to. If you have any neck tension. And then one more time, we're going to lift up like that. So inhale. Nod the chin. Exhale. Curl up over the rib cage. So make sure there's a small space between the chin and the chest. Shoulders are down. Knees are in. We're going to take both arms back to the wall behind us and both legs forward, 45-degree angle. Circle the arms around. Pull the knees into the chest. Inhale, reach long. Exhale, circle, pull. Inhale, exhale. So it's a big circle, wide, big circle with those arms moving through the shoulders as long as that feels okay. Make sure your chest doesn't drop down. Unless you have neck tension, you can do this with the head and chest down. Make sure those low abdominals are doing the work to help pull those knees in. Last one. And head and chest relax back again. So we're going to bring the feet back down to the mat for bridging. You'll have your heels pretty close to the glutes. Feet are hips width apart. Arms relax into the mat beside you. All right, we'll tuck the tailbone under as you inhale. Exhale, start to peel the hips and spine up off the mat, one bone at a time. And then rolling back down nice and slow. So every time at the bottom you want to find a neutral spine. So natural curve in your back, tailbone heavy, hips and pelvis are level and stable. And then from there you want to tuck the tailbone under, squeeze through the glutes, the hamstrings, put weight into the feet, into the heels, hold that lift, and then roll back down. And as you roll down, it's nice and slow and controlled. So think about reaching the tailbone away from your upper back. So your upper back comes down first, then the middle back, then the low back, then the tailbone. So you're actually working on creating more space in between each vertebra and between each bone in the spine, and having that result ideally in more length. On this next lift, we're going to hold it. So high bridge up at the top. Make sure you're balanced on your shoulder girdle and you're not arching your back. Neck is relaxed. We're going to take the hips to the left, up a few inches, to the right, down a few inches. So circling through the waist, keeping the breath moving with you, and just making sure it's a fluid but controlled movement. And then go ahead and switch direction to the right, up, over, down. Okay guys, go ahead and roll the spine down slow. We're going to find Pilates V with the feet, so heels together, toes apart. So just make sure it looks like this. You'll draw the heels together on the mat, and then feet are flat. Again, roll up into that bridge, tuck the tailbone under, squeeze through the backs of the legs, lift the hips, hold there. We're going to lift the heels, and now your knees drop together and open wide. Okay, knees together so that zips up the inner thighs, knees apart. Try to make sure the hips stay level here. It's an easy one here to allow the hips to tilt or rock. So just doing our best to keep the pelvic stability going on. Feel those inner thighs working, and then the outer glutes, outer thighs, and hips working as you open the knees. One more. Good, and then pulsing the hips up to the ceiling. So a couple inches up, couple inches down, keeping the heels glued together, keeping the breath moving with you. All right, and then go ahead and you can bring the knees a little bit closer towards each other, roll down slow, separate the feet, let the feet come down. We're gonna lengthen the left leg straight out onto the mat, flex the foot, so that left leg is super energized and really rooting into the ground. We're gonna bring that right knee into the chest and lengthen it straight up to the ceiling, point the toes. Externally rotate your right leg, so the toes and knee from parallel, they turn out to the side. That's happening from the hip. We're gonna keep the leg like that, take it across the body on your inhale, circle it down towards the ground, over to the right, up and center. We're gonna do that a little bit faster. So inhale across, exhale, circle. Inhale across, exhale, circle. So these are pretty tough, especially if your hamstrings or your hips are tight. But lots of control and stability is what we want. So doing our best to keep the core engaged to help keep the hips and the pelvis stable. They're not rocking all over the place. If they are, make your circle smaller. Maybe take it slower as well. Switch direction. Take the leg out to the right. Exhale down, across and up. Inhale over to the right. Exhale down, across and up. One more. Good. Give that knee a big hug into your chest. So compress the right hip. Just pull the knee towards the chest. Think about the left hip opening up here as well. So really lengthen through the front of that left hip. Take the right knee to the right shoulder. So out to the side of it. Let the hip stretch out at that angle. And then take the right knee across the body to the left shoulder. And then we'll switch sides. So lengthen the right leg out all the way, flex the foot, pull that left knee in, lengthen the leg straight up to 90. Externally rotate, make sure from parallel you're turning the toes and knee out. That part's important. And then we're gonna inhale, take the leg across the body, exhale, circle it down, around and up. Inhale across, exhale, circle. Keeping those abs turned on will help minimize any movement going on in the pelvis. We're gonna switch direction. Inhale out to the side, exhale down, around and up. You can even put your hands on your hips if you don't know if the hips are moving, because you can't see. Just check in. Put your hands on your hip bones. Feel if there's some movement, or maybe there's none. That's great either way. We're just working towards minimizing that. Okay, pull the knee into the chest. Give it a big hug. Compress the hip. Take the left knee to the left shoulder, out to the side. And then across the body to the right shoulder. Alright guys, both legs are going to come into tabletop. So bring the knees up over the hips. Zip up the inner thighs, palms up. Take a big inhale. Nod the chin towards the chest. We're going to try to rock ourselves up to seated. So curl the chest up over the rib cage. Use your abs to rock yourself up like this. Legs can stay bent. If you need to lengthen them out to straight a little bit to help you come up, do that. It's fine. Once you're here, you're balanced on, you're kind of rocked back of your sits bones. So you're not really balanced. You're doing your best to hold that position. It's pretty tough. Lift the arms up a little bit higher if you can. And then gently bring the feet down, round forward. Sit tall. You can bring the feet closer to you, heels towards the groin, towards the tailbone, and then hands on the knees. Sit tall, big inhale. Open the chest up. Exhale, draw your knees together and round your spine. And inhale, sit tall. Head up, chest open. And exhale, knees together, round. And then one more breath, inhale. And exhale. All right, guys, we're gonna do some tricep dips. So you'll bring your hands back behind you, fingers point towards the glutes, hands are right underneath your shoulders. Feet and knees together, we're gonna lift the hips. So you're in kind of a tabletop position and you are looking forward, not letting your head hang back, straightening your neck, okay? Shoulders down the back, bending your elbows, elbows point straight back to the wall behind you to dip down, lengthen the arms. Good. If you can, lift the right leg up into tabletop and keep going. Good, switch the legs out for 4. Okay, both feet down, come halfway down with the arms, little pulses. 1 inch up, 1 inch down. And then come up to straight arms, you can lower those hips. We're gonna come into a reverse plank. So hands are the same. The arms will be straight. You're gonna step the legs out so that you have straight legs as well. We're gonna lift the hips up into that nice long plank line. I like to point my toes, whatever feels good for you. You can try to flex them, kind of play around with what works, but one long line from the crown of the head, or at least from the shoulders, all the way down to those toes. You can look up a bit, but don't let the head drop too far back. Make sure to squeeze the glutes, tighten up all the muscles in those legs. Nice strong arms, big deep breaths, 5. Good, gently lower the hips. Okay, so we're gonna be sitting tall. You can scoot back a little bit if you need to. Hands just lightly on the mat on either side of you to provide some support. You can have the fingertips to kind of encourage you to sit taller. Lift the hips up, ribs up away from the hips, so you're creating as much length in the torso as you can. Feet are flexed, backs of the thighs are really rooting into the ground. Point the toes on the right foot. Just the right leg, we're gonna start to move it a little bit. So we're gonna lift the right leg off the mat 1 inch or 2, drop it back down gently. Lift, little lower. So it's a tiny, tiny movement. You guys should barely be able to even see my leg moving. It's really small. So don't think that it has to be big. And we want to engage the low abs to help lift the leg. You also want to make sure you're staying in that tall spine here. So if you're rounding your spine like this to lift the leg, no. We're gonna sit tall. We are only lifting as high as we're able to without changing the shape of the spine. Okay, last one. Good. Shake it out a little bit. Flex the feet, restack your spine. Lengthen through the left foot toes, so point the toes, left leg is super straight and strong. When you're ready, exhale to lift the leg. Okay. Normal breathing here, so big inhales, big exhales. Just those tiny lifts. Using your low abdominals. Try to control that movement so it's not too jerky or heavy on the way down. You don't want to let your leg just drop really heavily. We want to try to control it back to the ground. This side might be less of a lift than the other side. That's okay. One more. Okay, go ahead and shake the legs out. You can kind of windshield wiper the legs if that feels good. Take the toes and the knees just side to side. Okay, and I'm gonna have you flip over into that all fours position again. So hands and knees. Hands are right underneath your shoulders, knees are right underneath your hips, these flat back. All right, we're gonna take the right leg back to hip height again, point the toes, squeeze through that glute and hamstring. You're gonna tap the right foot down to the back left corner of the mat, and then lift the right leg up and out to the right. Tap it down to the left, lift up and out to the right. So we're squeezing through that outer glute, outer thigh, and hip on the right leg. We're keeping the back of the neck long. Arms super strong as well. Breath moving through the body. Good for 4. Okay, bend into that knee, bring it back down. Same thing other side. Make sure you're nice and even still, everything's balanced. We're going to take that left leg straight back, point the toes, bring it down to the back right corner of the mat, tap the foot, lift it up and out to the left. Make sure that while we're here, you're not bringing the left foot down on the left side, you're only bringing it down on the right side. So when it lifts to the left, it's just lifting to the left. It's not coming down to the mat and then back up. Okay, it's not an arch. It's just a like low to high diagonal line. All right, guys, bring it back down. One more child's pose. You can separate the knees, sit the hips back to the heels, let your head drop down. All right, we're gonna do some back extension. So I'll have you come down to laying onto your stomachs, legs long behind you. Hands are right underneath your shoulders, elbows point straight back to the wall behind you. Lift your abs up into your back first, and then kind of press the pubic bone down into the ground or the mat. Inhale, we're gonna look forward, lift the chest up off the ground. And then exhale, use your arms and your upper body strength to help you come up higher. And you're only coming up as far as feels okay on your back body. So as much back extension as feels okay for you. Start to roll down slow. Belly down, chest down, head down. And then inhale, head up. Chest lifts. Exhale, use the arms to help you lift up a little bit higher. Roll down nice and slow. Try to keep the elbows pulled in towards the ribs the whole time. One more time like that. Okay. Rolling down slow. Okay, go ahead and reach the arms out to the wall in front of you and lift the whole body away from the mat here. Open the arms and legs out just the width of the mat, so they're both open to like a high V. Abs are lifted, your whole body is lifted. You're gonna lower everything together and lift everything together. So, even the chest is coming down and up. Squeezing through the glutes. Keeping those abs turned on. Two more. Good. You can rest your left ear to the mat. Take a big inhale. Let the arms just be relaxed on either side of you. You can kind of have the arms bent. Okay. And then go ahead and prop yourself up. Hands underneath the shoulders. Lift up and back. So come through all fours, we're gonna find one more plank line. So hands towards the front end of the mat underneath the shoulders, the feet back, tuck the toes under, lift the knees up off the ground. Long line from the crown of the head all the way back to those heels. So here we're gonna tilt the hips to the left and to the right. So keeping the abs pulled in and together, cinching the waist in. right hip dips down, left hip dips down. So you're really using the obliques here. Those side abdominals are working really hard to help with that rotation. Last one, each side. Okay, and then lifting the hips up and back into that downward dog. Inhale forward into your plank. Exhale up and back into down dog. Inhale forward. Good. Gently bring the knees down. Lift the feet. We're going to bring the hands closer to each other. Thumbs and forefingers together. Diamond push-ups. So wide elbows as you lower the chest. Exhale, push up. You can always do this in full plank if you're feeling up to that challenge today. I like to be on my knees so that my form stays more intact. 2 more. Good. Sit back carefully, hips to heels. Dropping the head down. Good. And then walking your hands towards you again. One more time, we're going to come up into that tall kneeling position. And then from there, step the right foot forward. You can bring a hand down to the mat if you need to. So both hands are going to come down to frame the front foot now. We'll have the back foot toes tucked under, ball of the foot on the mat. We're going to lift that back knee. Lift your abs and ribs up off the front thigh. Make sure they're not totally resting down on it. Arms are straight. And then maybe just the fingertips are on the ground. And you do have some weight in your arms, but try to take a lot of the weight and the work into those knees. We're going to tap the back knee to the mat and lift the leg. Tap the back knee and lift the leg. So this is somewhat of a stretch, but it also should be some work. You are using your core and your upper back muscles to stay somewhat lifted off that front thigh, and we're working pretty hard through that back leg. 2 more. Okay, and now if you can, walk the hands forward a little bit of your front foot. Put some weight into your front leg. You're going to lift that back leg. Flex the foot. You can lengthen your standing leg if that feels okay too. And then gently relax that back foot onto the ground again. Bring the back knee down. Walk your hands back a little bit. We're going to switch sides. Bring that right knee back, left foot forward. Okay, so from there, again, the hands bring the front foot, light fingertips if you're able to. We're going to lift that back knee. So back leg is straight and energized. Abs are lifted up into the back body. So you're not totally collapsed onto that front thigh. You're lifted through that upper back and your core. And then we're just going to tap that back knee to the ground and lift. Tap and lift. So keeping the leg really energized. Breathing, belly button pulls in and up under those ribs. Nice strong core. Okay, and then maybe walking your hands forward a few inches, You're gonna lift that back leg and maybe lengthen through the front leg. Flex that back foot, gently bring it back down, bend that back knee down, and you can send both knees back. You can sit back on the heels. So roll your wrists out a little bit. We're gonna do a quick stretch for the wrists actually, and you can kind of wiggle those fingers. That exercise was a little hard on the hands. You're going to bring your palms down onto the mat with your thumbs pointing out to the sides. So try to have your palms up, thumbs out first. Pinkies are closer to each other. And then you're going to bring your fingertips close to your knees, or at least pointing towards your knees. Palms down onto the mat. Try to sit back a little bit so that your shoulders are behind your wrists, so that the inside of the wrists get stretched out. Breathe there. And then we'll switch the position so that the backs of the palms, the backs of the hands are on the mat. The thumbs point in towards each other. And now the backs of the wrists are getting stretched out instead of the insides. Okay, guys. So go ahead and roll the wrists out a little bit. So from here, we're gonna go into some quad work. We're gonna cross one forearm over the other. Your torso's nice and upright, so just check in to make sure you're not like leaning forward already or leaning back. We wanna be super tall, neutral spine here. We're gonna lift the hips up off the heels. So using the quads and using the core to come all the way up and off. You can separate your feet a little bit if you need to. You're gonna lower the tailbone back down, just tapping the tailbone to the heels, lifting right back up. Try to inhale to lower, exhale to lift. One more. Okay guys, sitting the hips halfway back towards the heels. You're gonna tuck the tailbone under and release the tuck. Tailbone tucks, abs scoop in, tailbone releases. One more here. And lifting the hips up and lowering those arms. And you can twist side to side a little bit with that. Okay, we're gonna stretch the legs out a little bit. So you guys can come down, have a seated position, legs straight out, flex the feet back. We're gonna walk the hands forward towards the ankles and just let the head drop down. The neck is soft. So allow the backs of the legs to stretch out here, those hamstrings and calves, and just try to stretch through the back as well. Try to let everything relax a little bit. You can bend your right knee, bring the right foot to touch the left inner thigh. And then again, just walking the hands forward on the mat or on the leg. Allow the upper body to come down towards that left knee. Take a few breaths there. We're gonna move the left leg out to the left a bit and get more of an inner thigh and hamstring stretch. So you'll bring your left hand to the outer edge of the left foot. You'll reach the right arm up and over, big side stretch, but we're really also getting that leg stretch. So it's a bonus stretch. It's 2 in 1. And then you can carefully come up out of that, extend the right leg straight forward, hold the left foot into the right inner thigh, walk the hands forward, let the back of that right leg stretch out here, and allow the back to relax. And then when you're ready, open the right leg out to the right a little bit more. Grab onto the outer edge of that right foot with your right hand. Reach your left arm up and over, big side stretch. And then carefully coming up and out of that. You're gonna bring the bottoms of the feet together for butterfly, as long as that feels okay on your hips. So bottoms of the feet are touching. You can have the knees wide up to either side. Try to pull the feet as close to you as you can. I like to pitch the torso forward here to get as much of a stretch on the hips as I can. Otherwise, if it's enough for you just sitting tall, you can stay there. Or you can rock side to side, whatever feels good for your body. You're just stretching those hips out. All right, and then we're gonna go into a little side stretch. So the mermaid here. The right heel is going to be close to the right glute, left foot to the right inner thigh. Bring your right hand down beside your right shin. Reach your left arm up and over. Big side stretch. You can bend your right arm and then counter stretch, left hand down, right arm reaches up and over. And then both hands come around to the right side of your mat. You're gonna rotate towards the right, so kind of twisting your chest open to that side of the room. And then same thing other side. So we'll switch the legs out. Left heel to the left glute, right foot to the inner thigh on that left side. Left hand down, right arm reaches up and over. Try to breathe into that stretch. Stretching the other way, right hand down, left arm up. And then both hands come back over to the left. Rotate as much as feels okay for you to the left side. All right, we're gonna come up to standing and do some standing stretches. I'm gonna make sure you guys can see me standing. And I'm just gonna have you standing hips width apart, feet hips width apart. Let's see. You'll bring the right foot into the right hand. If you have something to hold on to, like a dining room chair or counter table or anything, if you need help with your balance, definitely grab onto something here with that left hand, your free hand. A little bit of a bend into your standing leg. Try to tuck the tailbone under and push this knee, right knee forward a bit. So you're just stretching out this quad and maybe the hip a little bit. And then go ahead and switch the legs out. So right foot down. I'll kind of turn around so you can see me better on this side. Left foot into the left hand. Bend into that right knee. Tuck the tailbone under slightly. Rather than arching your back and pulling the knee back to feel the stretch, it's a little better for you to stay neutral and even go into a tuck a bit. And press the left knee even forward. And then bring that foot down. Okay, we're just gonna take a roll down, guys. So feet hips width apart, a little bit of a bend into the knees, big inhale, reach the arms out to either side of the room and up towards the ceiling. Nod the chin towards the chest. Exhale as you roll your spine down into a forward fold, hanging heavy at the bottom. You can place your fingertips or flat hands on the mat. Try to straighten and bend your legs a few times here. And then take an inhale. As you exhale, scoop the abs in. Start to roll up to standing nice and slow, one bone at a time. Restacking the spine. Head comes up last. Shoulders roll up, back and down. All right, and then you guys are all set. Awesome job today. Thanks for coming.